Yeah, remember when I made this video and the premise of the video, if you watch the whole thing, was I just hope people didn't play Jinx because she was in fact pretty broken and it was like freelo, but everybody was going to try and play her then because of that instead of actual Jinx mains? Yeah, we're going to talk about that in today's patch notes video, patch 13.21 of League of Legends. One of the main things to talk about that's not really a balance change though is if you're a fan of Nexus Blitz, it is back this patch. It's one of the only modes left that I like playing because a lot of the old modes like Ascension and stuff are gone, still gone, and probably going to remain gone. But as usual, we talk about changes to Jinx and other AD carries that will affect the Jinx lane matchup, and a problem in this patch, red alert, is we do have a Jinx change, specifically a nerf that we kind of all saw coming, even my joking video from last week aside. But fortunately, it is coupled with a Caitlyn nerf, so at least she goes down with us. Caitlyn, headshot damage increased with critical strike chance, R cooldown increased, damage decreased, bonus damage with critical strike chance increased. Basically, if you know about the lethality builds that were popping up, Caitlyn's lethality build started to catch on, which led to some pretty frustrating and non-interactive gameplay for her opponents. Not much you can do to avoid her full lethality ultimates when she's constantly casting on cooldown and you don't have a tank to block it. This set of changes is meant to lower the potency and frequency of her ultimate when building lethality without significantly affecting its role when Kate is building crit. Well, how does that work if you're changing the cooldown and increasing the cooldown and decreasing the damage? Or so I thought. They have that covered. The bonus physical damage is being changed from 60-90 to 120% plus 81.25% critical strike chance to, or times 100% critical strike damage to 60, 90, and 120% plus 85% critical strike chance times 100% critical strike damage, meaning they're going to incentivize Caitlyn's to go back to building crit. Caitlyn does not get to have fun at all. No, I'm just kidding. You could still go back to building lethality. It's just that it's going to have more of a punishment between times using it, unless of course you're going all in the sorcery tree because it's like an ARAM or something, but that's up to you. Whereas if you're building crit, you're going to be slightly rewarded, if anything, because the 81.25% is going up to 85% critical strike chance. There you go. Ace in the Hole's cooldown is going from 90, 75, and 60 seconds to 90 seconds at all ranks. Wow, okay. I guess that makes sense because lethality builds tend to have a lot of cooldown reduction. I know it's called ability haste, but even in the patch notes, they still call it cooldown, not haste. So I'm an old player. That's how it's always going to be to me. Sorry. Physical damage is going from 300, 525, and 750 plus 200% bonus AD to 300, 500, and 700, but only 175 or 170 bonus percent bonus attack damage. I don't know the loose math, but if you're losing 50 damage but still doing nearly the 200% bonus attack damage, that kind of evens out. Anyway, bonus damage from critical strike chance is going from 0 to 35% to 0 to 50%. They really want you to build crit is the idea. So in short, in the Jinx Caitlyn laning matchup, the Hat Lady herself, right? Basically, her damage shouldn't be scaling so fast so early. It should be kind of later that it's coming. So in lane, if you've been dealing with the lethality build, especially if you have not a tank support who's blocking the ultimate, because if you don't have a tank support, they shouldn't really be body blocking the ultimate unless you have no health and they're at full health, because that sucker will kill them too. They want to live too. So at this particular instance, it looks like because they're forcing her back onto the crit build, where a lot of her strength was coming from this patch, she should be toned down. Like just by default, she should be toned down from having an earlier power spike against you in lane, who also does not have an earlier power spike, but does have another problem that we're going to jump into. Our good friend Jinx. The passive stacks are being adjusted. Jinx's buffs from the last patch landed well, but the passive was a bit too crazy in situations when Jinx was allowed to run uncontested through the enemy base, taking away her shimmer supply, because Arcane's canon now, so that's now the canon way she got get excited. By the way, by capping the passive stacks and letting it only stack versus champions should help reduce her ability to end the game at the drop of a hat. Now personally, if you're like a 15-4 Jinx and you're pushing on the base and you get an ace on the enemy team and the death timer is like 50 seconds anyways, and it's a clip of a Jinx destroying an entire base before they respawn in 50 seconds, that's going to still happen anyways. I'm letting you know right now. If that Jinx is fed and you're dead for your whole team got wiped for 50 seconds and they were already knocking on, you know, the base door with a minion wave, yeah, you're still going to lose the game. The problem, of course, was never that specifically. That's all the clips everybody wanted to put up. But the problem, of course, was that you could have a fight at Baron and get 2 champion kills and get the Baron because, you know, epic monsters do give the stack too. And probably just clean a team fight way easier than things in clap close. Yeah, because they wanted to clap you. A gap close to you, which was a problem, of course. That's part of why I was saying, please just believe me when I say Jinx is not broken in that video. She's not. So that the rest of us, Jinx mains could actually get to play her before this came. Because we knew some champions get to stay broken for a while. Jinx does not, depending on how the brokenness is. The passives, get excited. All takedowns, epic monster kills, and structures destroyed grant the get excited stacks, and refresh the buff is now changing to epic monster kills and destroying structures will grant the first stack of get excited and will refresh the buff, but only champion takedowns can increase the amount of stacks Jinx can get. The stack caps, Jinx can now only get 5 stacks of get excited at most. Well, of course, there's only 5 enemy champions. Now, of course, the first structure, I guess, can refresh it, but still, most of the time, if you want that really fast attack speed when you're sieging, you gotta ace the enemy team first. So you have a success window before you can actually access that power now. Interesting. Also, I brought up the shimmer supply thing because, like, yeah, it's interesting. Maybe I'll make a different video about this one day. But there's a lot of old lore tidbits that Arcane kind of wipes out now. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing necessarily. Obviously, they talk about, you know, too many chefs in the kitchen. If there's too many ideas, the lore just gets confusing. Things like making Arcane canon does simplify certain things, but it does eliminate other things that might have been interesting to figure out where they were going or where they came from. I don't think Get Excited was one of those things for most Jinx players, but I'll put that in here if you're watching and you are a Jinx player and you're like, before Shimmer, what did you think Get Excited was? You know, did you think it was some sort of, you know, thing like Shimmer is? Did you think it just was Jinx was just really, really excited to destroy stuff because she just really liked destroying stuff? What in your opinion was it? Did you think it came from? What do you think about the Arcane situation being canon now and all that stuff? And I'm talking about maybe making a video only because, like, there were small things that don't really matter, right? Like Jinx was the older sister originally. Now she's the younger sister. Well, the bottom line is they're both still sisters. So, like, nothing really changes. I mean, something technically changes there, but nothing really changes in the terms of telling stories for League of Legends and around, like, Vi and Jinx. So stuff like that. I'm kind of curious. What's your all's opinion on that? W damage increased on Varus and the E slow increased. So the magic damage is going from 7, 12, 17, 22, and 27 to 7, 13, 19, 25, and 31. While the slow is going from, on the E held arrows, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 to 30, 35, 40, 45, and 50%. Because Varus ended up losing a bit of the anti-snowballing changes from 13.20. So he's getting a small compensation buff in this patch. We're aiming to keep his on-hit lethality builds at similar levels, so he's receiving light buffs that help both play styles. We specifically like that Varus provides some crowd control, so we're playing up that part of his kit. As an extra note, lethality Varus currently looks worse than it actually is, as Duskblade is still the most often purchased first item despite Youmuu's Ghostblade being the better option. It's not the better when will they it's not okay, no. Ghostblade is better as an item. It's not the better option. It is a fantastic item now, though. The changes, great, beautiful. Duskblade will always be the better option when you literally get to become untargetable when you get a takedown with it. Yeah, we can see the person now because it did that change where you can still see the person where they are. That doesn't matter when they're untargetable. There's a whole thing I could get into about this. I'm not going to, but no, that is wrong. Ghostblade is a better item, though. And I do love building Ghostblade instead. But there's some times where I feel like, oh, I should have built Duskblade because the other person built Duskblade, and guess what they get to do? Just not be hit when they proc it. Like, something, I guess it turns at the bottom line, no matter if you're bronze or challenger, which one's better to you? Speed or just not being able to be hit for a small window? Especially if you're skilled enough to make use of that. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, we're avoiding buffing his build further as we expect to get stronger as players usually update their build. But I'm not going to rant in this video. These videos aren't supposed to be for rants, but people for some reason like the rants better than when I just talk about just changes by themselves. They feel it's relatable. So maybe that was a relatable rant. There you go. Anyways, the Varus Jinx matchup is interesting because Varus is what Kai'Sa should not be. If you want to build lethality on Kai'Sa, just play Varus instead, in my opinion. But in pro play, they're even, like at Worlds, they're building lethality Kai'Sa. They're losing games because of it too. But it's just like Varus is right there. You don't have to pick Xayah Kai'Sa for every game at Worlds. You pick Draven more often, even like something. In the matchup with Jinx, the lethality build, so treat him like you treated Caitlyn, I would say, in terms of the long range Qs. Treat those like Caitlyn's Qs, like Caitlyn's ultimate. Obviously they can, you know, be dodged because they're not like a point and click ability. But at the same time, if you want to take the same thing you've been doing and apply it to Varus for these changes, it should still work. Of course, the lethality isn't what's being changed here, but they do like that he has his lethality build. So if he's going to come back into the meta because he can, you know, get the stacks of his blighted quiver, it's going to probably be on lethality, because they're probably going to want to poke you out in the early game and poke you out for sieging in the mid game before you get to scale as Jinx. If he's building a crit build, it's a bit different of a situation. You outrange him with the rocket launcher more consistently than he'll outrange you with his Qs. If you dodge those, it's going to be on a longer cooldown than your auto attacks on the rockets, which you shouldn't be spamming in lane, by the way. Jinx does have one of the highest mana regenerations late game, but early game you want mana management, and to be careful, only fire a few rockets, just chunk them down here and there, unless you got a really good support who goes all in on them, and then you use the rockets until you get in range, but then you step up to get back in minigun range to get more attack speed out anyways, while they're locked down with your flame chompers and like a Leona or Nautilus or Thresh, even maybe even a Blitzcrank, who knows. But yeah, treat that way if you're struggling against Varus still, because it's basically the same. Part of why Caitlyn became more powerful is because she was like a longer range Varus. That's like an oversimplification that I can give you. Honorable mention, I guess, to the fact that Jinx is getting nerfed in ARAM. 95% of damage dealt to 90% of damage dealt. If you don't play ARAM, or if you do play ARAM, basically it'd be like whatever, if a full build Jinx is only going to be doing 90% of her damage that she would be doing on the Rift on ARAM. What's the point? People wonder why. It's like, hey, you're ggGetJinxed. Why did you trade away Jinx? First of all, I don't know what we're playing into because it's blind and it could be the most anti-Jinx comp ever. But secondly, things like this. Like, come on. Just let me play the game. Relatable rant. Now, despite being nerfed this patch, we also got honorable mentions for the Cutie Cafe's skin line coming out. Cutie Cafe's Rumble, our friend Cutie Cafe's Jinx, Cutie Cafe's Poppy, and Cutie Cafe's Lulu. Also, Coven Syndra will be hitting the Rift this patch after some adjustments they decided to make her not look like a Lux skin, I guess was the whole debate. I don't know. But at the same time, yeah, Jinx is getting a skin, by the way, despite being nerfed, getting a skin. Now, mind you, when the skin was announced, she was getting buffed, so that trend still technically stands. I know rioters must hate hearing that as much as they hate Reddit being like they're the majority of the community when Reddit is not. Love you, Reddit, but you're only like maybe a couple percentage of the entire community when it comes to stuff, not the vocal majority at any given time. That's crazy. And I mean the main Reddit, the Jinx subreddit, as usual, is awesome. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, the actual subscribe button. But I don't know which video will be next, because life can have a lot of kinks. So till this time, take care. ggGetJinxed. Thank you for watching, and enjoy pizza responsibly. Bye-bye.